started here?
Yeah.
Wonderful. How are y'all doing today?
Good.
Good. So I'm Dr. Cain. We'll be talking about peripheral neuropathy today. Show of hands. Who here has or think you may have peripheral neuropathy? Okay. All right. And for here, mostly just you wanted a lunch? No? Maybe a
Are
little
you
bit.
here just for the lunch?
All right. Well, for those of you that do have peripheral neuropathy, the good news is most, if not every single one of you, can get profoundly better if you apply the things that you learned today. And that's a goal that I have for any presentation that I give, is that you take action. The things that we talk about that can and will have you feeling better, that you do them so that you can get yourselves healthier and have a higher quality of life. I'll tell you just a little bit about myself, then we'll get into the agenda here. And also if at any point, if I talk too fast or I'm not loud enough, just let me know. I'll repeat myself and make sure we get the information out there. Okay?
You close that door, we hear you better.
You got it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so I am a doctor of chiropractic. When I was in chiropractic school, I took functional neurology courses. This is natural ways to make the best of the human nervous system. Fell in love with it, ultimately started up my own nonprofit brain health organization called the Whole Brain Health Initiative. It's where we go to senior communities, teach them about a brain healthy lifestyle, encourage them to adopt it as a preventative measure against Alzheimer's. Now, something most people don't know is that things that are great for peripheral neuropathy are also great for your brain. Who here knows the most common cause of peripheral neuropathy?
Diabetes.
Diabetes. Diabetes, the most common cause of peripheral neuropathy. Anyone heard of type 3 diabetes?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
I've
Heard of it. But
Okay.
I don't know much about it, but I have heard the term.
Okay, so type 1, type 2, these are the more common. Type 3, this is a slang term for Alzheimer's disease. And that's because diabetics
that's
are
right,
so
yeah.
much more likely to go on and develop Alzheimer's. So things we're going to talk about today, not only good for the nerves in your feet, but good for all the nerves in your body. Also about me, I'm a certified health coach. I've traveled across the country, training with lots of neuropathy specialists, and I got my bachelor's from the University of Michigan. Any Michigan fans? Well, no? All right. Okay. All right, so moving on for the agenda. First, we'll talk about what peripheral neuropathy is, the three main causes of it, why it's so prevalent, the three keys to beating it, and then lastly, we'll open up for questions at the end. Okay, all right, so what is peripheral neuropathy? So if you break down the terminology here, peripheral, this means outside the brain and the spinal cord. So your central nervous system, that's your brain and your spinal cord. As soon as those nerves exit your spine, so as soon as they exit the spine and go anywhere, your arms, your trunk, your face, your legs, these are your peripheral nerves. So neuro, pertaining to the nerves, and pathy, a condition or a disease. So peripheral neuropathy means that there's something wrong with your peripheral nerves, which really isn't that telling. So if someone gets a diagnosis of peripheral neuropathy, it's really not enabled to truly get yourself better, not until you know what's actually causing the condition. That's the valuable information. So we're going to talk about the three main causes of peripheral neuropathy. So we have mechanical stress. Something is pinching down on a nerve in your body. A metabolic stress, this means what's circulating through your blood vessels is either toxic to your nerves and or you don't have enough of the nutrients that your nerves need to thrive. That's the metabolic. And then lastly, we have genetic stresses to the nerves. Okay, so I'll talk about each of these three in a bit more detail. Okay, so a mechanical stress, something pinches down on a nerve in your body. Anyone here ever have sciatica, pain shooting down your legs? Oh, okay, yeah. So that would be a mechanical stress. Something's pinching down on the nerve. Sometimes it's a muscle in the buttock area. Sometimes it's a bulging disc in your spine that presses down on the nerve as it exits. Okay? So these mechanical mediated neuropathies, one of the hallmark signs of these is that there's some sort of asymmetry. Maybe it's down just one leg, or maybe it's the outside of your leg. Whereas the metabolic mediated neuropathies, things like diabetes or alcoholism or vitamin B12 deficiency, these tend to have what's called the stocking glove distribution, because you feel the sensations as if you're putting on a pair of stockings and gloves. So it affects the longest nerve. So quite commonly when people have a diabetic neuropathy or any other metabolic one, starts in the toes, works its way up the feet until about the knee, and then it comes into the fingers and the hands. So as if you're putting on stocking and gloves.
So that's peripheral. The reason I asked, and I wasn't going to interrupt you, because I have central nerve, I have a compression, spinal compression, so
Okay.
I have it. But that's how mine works too. It'll go from my feet up to my knees.
Is it the entire feet and knees?
No,
Like
just
all
the top of my feet,
Okay.
and my knees, and then my hands.
Okay. I mean, did it kind of all occur at the same time? The feet?
Started with my left hand.
Okay.
I don't want to interrupt everybody's time here, but it started with my left hand 5 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And then I had my hip replaced last year in both knees. And after that, then it started getting into my right. Then it got in my knees. And then long story short, I found out I had fallen on the ice 12 years ago, compressed my spine, didn't know it. And that's what the neurologist found. I had surgery to stop any further, but I still have the neuropathy. And so it's central, but it's funny because I have it in the same places.
Okay. Yeah, so it sounds like yours isn't completely length dependent. So yours started in the hand first, right?
Right.
Okay. So the longest nerves in your body are the ones that go down to your toes. So a length dependent peripheral
length
neuropathy
dependent, okay.
starts at the longest nerves possible in the toes, work its way up the feet to the knees, and then the fingers down into the hands. So when someone has diabetes or anything else that's toxic to the nerves, it chips away most commonly at the blood vessels and at the nerves, causing both of them to break down. And as this happens, that's when people feel the burning, the numbness, the tingling, the pins and needles. There's unfortunate symptoms. And for those of you that do have this condition, sorry you have to experience that on a regular basis, but again, the good news is, in most cases, you can get better.
Yeah.
All right, and for genetic neuropathies, there's good and bad news about this. So the bad news is, I mean, can you change your genes? Can you go back in time and pick a different set of parents to give you different genes? No, you're stuck with the genes that you have. So the ceiling for improvement tends to not be quite as high with people that have a genetic neuropathy. So that's the bad news. The good news is that they're less common. Right?
Yeah.
So less than 10% of all peripheral neuropathies are caused by your genetics. So most people that have this condition can get themselves significantly better. And this picture right here, see this high arch foot called a pes cavus deformity. It's one of the hallmark signs of a genetic neuropathy. Doesn't guarantee that you have it, or if you don't have it, doesn't mean you don't have a genetic neuropathy. It's just one of the signs commonly associated with it. Okay, so why is it so prevalent? Why are there more than 20 million people in this country alone suffering from this condition? Well, a couple different things. One, we don't take that great care of our bodies, of our physical frame. You can probably see it by the posture of people walking around. Every inch forward your head goes is another 10 pounds of stress right here at the base of your neck. Same thing for the low back. The more you lean forward, the more stress that we have right here. Most people are not doing the right stretches, the right exercises, and this puts a strain on the body, making you much more likely to having those pinched nerves for the metabolic mediated neuropathies. And for the metabolic mediated neuropathies, these are one of the reasons that they're so common is because of the foods that we eat. And a lot of this has to do with our cultural norms, right? Whether it's burritos or white rice or pizza or pasta, a lot of the foods that we were raised to eat are contributing to diabetes and to some of these other things that are causing these peripheral neuropathies. So because of the prevalent food and because of the way we don't take great care of our physical frame, a lot of people are set up to develop peripheral neuropathy. That's why they get it in the first place. The reason why most people don't fully get better, recover from it, is because this is the way most people are being managed. Right? You've got a pain or a condition, here's some sort of pill, here's a medication that will take the edge off, take the pain off, but do nothing to actually address the cause of the neuropathy. If you don't address the cause, you're not truly going to get yourself better. You're just going to be masking the pain temporarily. And then when people don't get the results they're looking for from their medical doctors or this type of management, what do most people do after that? Well, maybe they'll go online and they'll try to find some sort of cookie cutter approach. You know, maybe if I take this one supplement or this CBD oil, this one cream, maybe that'll be the thing that really gets me better. Not to say any of these things are not good or not going to help. I have most of the patients I work with, they do end up using these things, but in and of themselves, it's just a cookie cutter approach. It's not tailored to you and what's causing your neuropathy. All right, so what do you actually do to get yourself better? The 3 keys to beating peripheral neuropathy. If you can piece together your own unique puzzle, what's causing your neuropathy and how do you address all the different aspects of the causes to your neuropathy? Make it last. Whatever it is, whatever these habits are that have you healthier and have you beating your neuropathy, you do them not just for a couple weeks or a month so that you feel better, but for the rest of your life. So the rest of your life you continue to feel better. And then doing it before it's too late. Because the longer that you wait, the more the degeneration sets in your nerves and the harder it is to undo. So these are the 3 keys we'll talk about in some more detail. All right, so each one of you are an individual, right? So what's causing one person's neuropathy is going to be at least a little bit different than what's causing someone else's neuropathy. And the way to get yourself better is going to be at least a little bit different than everyone else. So piecing together what works for you. So for example, someone has a pinched nerve in their low back causing a neuropathy down the leg. In this case, chiropractic is wonderful at realigning the spine, taking pressure off of that nerve. But they wouldn't want to stop there. They would also want to do the right stretches, exercises to properly rehabilitate the low back. So now it has a proper flexibility, strength, and coordination so that you don't relapse. This would be an approach that one person could take based off the cause of their neuropathy. Then again, if someone else has, sorry, before we get there. So this is a gentleman that had that exact condition. He had pinched nerves in his low back, actually going down both the back of his legs. He's at a point he couldn't pick up his kids. It was just a very, very painful situation for him. And then we did that chiropractic, physical therapy, got him to a point where the pain's virtually gone. He's able to pick up his kids, go mountain biking again, because we addressed the cause of his neuropathy. Someone else, if they have diabetes, if they have some other metabolic-mediated neuropathy, then what's going to be very important for them is what they put into their system. Diet is one of the most important things for people that have a metabolic-mediated neuropathy. For virtually everyone, eating a lot of vegetables is going to be a really good place to start, and drinking a lot of water so you can properly transport all those nutrients from the vegetables throughout your entire body. If there's one type of diet that I'd say is probably going to help out the most amount of people that have peripheral neuropathy, it's the autoimmune protocol. Anyone ever heard of that type of diet?
No.
Okay. Yeah, the Mediterranean's real healthy too. That's probably going to help people out as well. But the thing about the autoimmune protocol, some people have certain sensitivities to things like gluten or nightshades or other particular foods that can cause our immune system to attack your own nerves. So the autoimmune protocol is a wonderful diet. It's extremely clean, and it's not going to have anything that you eat triggering your body to attack your own cells, which does happen in a lot of cases of peripheral neuropathy. And so when you do that, if you can cut out the things in your diet that might be contributing to a metabolic-mediated neuropathy and swap in the healthy foods that are going to nourish your nerves, instead of heading down this direction where the blood vessels and the nerves are breaking down, you can start to have it go the other direction so that the blood vessels and the nerves can start to repair themselves, because now what you're eating is rejuvenating to your nerves. That's why I always want to make sure that I'm practicing what I preach and giving you the healthy salad and and not giving you the donuts or some other things that I see at senior centers.
It's funny there aren't any men here. Don't we get it?
It is kind of interesting, except for me, right? Yeah, it's because actually men have peripheral neuropathy more so than women do. So that's,
More so? More so, you said? Really?
Yeah.
I had a friend once who we would take walks, and he would have to stop every once in a while because his lower legs were hurting so badly. And I'm wondering if that was what he had. And he died of a sudden heart attack. So I think that might be what he has. I think he had diabetes.
Yeah. Most likely, probably was.
Those legs were always bothering. Is that common with that disease?
Where you walk for a short while.
Well, yeah, where your legs will hurt really badly.
Yeah.
Well, if you have burning, he might have had burning in his knees,
Yeah.
like I do.
I got
Yeah,
burning
the-
in my legs.
Yeah, most-
Burning in my knees and it shoots down your legs to your feet.
No, man don't shoot.
Yeah, yeah.
Man comes from the bottom to here.
All right, so
Oh,
another
okay.
great thing to do, especially if you're starting to eat a healthier diet, you're doing the things that are nourishing your nerves. Now, if you can open up the blood vessels, there's a number of ways to do it. This is a far infrared heating pad. Helps to open up the blood vessels, dilates them. And when you do that, you can get the nutrients in quicker and get the waste products out more efficiently. And especially, this is far infrared.
Far, F-A-R?
Yeah, yep.
Far.
Infrared. It's a little kit you put your feet in, and it sends a particular type of heat that really helps to open up the blood vessels.
Do they offer
have
like
one.
in therapy sessions or something as an introductory or?
Yeah, so at the office that I work at, it's one of the therapies that we offer. People can buy these as well and have them at home and just do them anytime they want. Especially
I've
cold.
heard of it.
But what's that?
I've never heard of it.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, there's lots of things out there. There's lots of natural ways to help with peripheral neuropathy that most people have never heard of because all they hear is Lyrica and
I have one of those, but mine has wax in it, and it'll melt and you put your feet in.
Okay, like a
Wax?
paraffin.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I have.
Is that the same thing, though?
Yeah, so that's a little different. Yeah, that's where you submerge your feet. And,
Right.
And,
But is it an infrared
yeah,
thing?
Yeah, this is completely dry. You just
Okay.
Oh, that's
your-
dry.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
mine is wax.
Is
I have
that
to melt it. put
when
my
I was a
feet
little
in.
child? We maybe about 7, 8 years old. My father had a heat lamp that had infrared. You could turn it to infrared, or you could turn it to ultraviolet blue, I think.
Okay.
And so we would have our bath and then lay on the bed, and then we were put under this heat lamp of the infrared or the ultraviolet. And I just remember that.
Yeah, the whole infrared heating thing, it's really starting to catch on. They've got
This
infrared
was like
saunas.
50, I was
Yeah,
50,
easy.
60 years ago.
He's ahead of his time, for sure.
More than 60 years ago, yeah.
Yeah.
I still remember that heat lamp.
Yep. So again, one of a number of ways to help out someone with a metabolic mediated neuropathy. Eat the right diet, nourish your nerves, open up the blood vessels so you get the nutrients to it even more efficiently. This worked out wonderfully this is Clara. She's one of the patients that I worked with. She had diabetes, so we worked on her diet, got the blood sugar to go down, got her doing the right exercises and the right forms of stimulation for the nerves in her feet and her legs. She's so much better now, so much more optimistic about her future because she can go on these long walks now, like your friend who wasn't able to go on long walks, it would start to hurt after a while. It's the same thing with her. But we rejuvenated her nerves by getting her doing the right diet, and she's feeling so much better now.
I know this reflexology, does that do the same thing, open up your nerves? What
Yeah.
does that actually do?
Sure. So reflexology, that's the theory that there's certain points that you press it on the feet, and that has health benefits throughout the rest of the body. So pressing in and touching the feet, that's one of many ways to stimulate the nerves in the feet. We're actually going to get to that in just a second here. All right, so yeah, it's a great segue actually. So another important piece for most people that have peripheral neuropathy is retraining the nerves. So if you do all the things right, you address the cause of the neuropathy, a lot of times, just out of sheer habit, because they've been sending those burning, numbing, tingling signals for so long, they continue to do it just out of habit. So if you retrain the nerves, you stimulate the nerves in a way where they create a new connection with the brain, you can subside those painful signals and have a normal feeling coordinated feet, legs, wherever your neuropathy is. So there's lots of ways to do this. There's reflexology. Something we do at the office is standing vibration. And if you have access to a standing vibration platform and it's comfortable, it doesn't cause more pain, I think this is one of the best ways to re-stimulate the nerves in your body. Because when you're doing it, first off, you're standing, so all the balance mechanisms in your feet and your legs, they're active, and you get that vibration. That's another stimulus that's stimulating all the nerves that you normally don't get stimulated by doing this type of therapy. But
Where do you buy that?
you can get these, you get them, I believe, at places like Dick's. I normally order them online on Amazon. But yeah.
Do you have that in your office
It costs
too?
thousands
Yeah, we
of
have them in our
dollars.
office, yep.
It's like if you wanted to try it, see.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Yep, and I've had some people that this is too strong of a stimulation, that it's just too powerful and their feet are too sensitive. Some people have very sensitive feet, and in those cases, things like brush therapy. There's things called sensory, okay.
My daughter.
Yeah, there's something called sensory brushes. It's a very gentle stimulation to the nerves, and sometimes that's what they need, is more that light touch stimulation, because the intense stimulation, like the vibration, is going to overwhelm it and cause more pain. Again, it's all about finding the right pieces to the puzzle for the individual. So it's kind of where you're at with your own neuropathy. You can do warm water, cold water, you can do deep massage, reflexology, so many different ways to stimulate the nerves. Again, it's all about getting the right type, the right intensity, frequency, and duration for you and your neuropathy. Okay, so this is a patient, she did really well with this standing vibration. She did also make some nutritional changes, start exercising more, but I really think it was the vibration that really had her feeling a lot better. She used to have stiletto pains, especially in her feet and her legs, but all throughout her body. She starts doing the standing vibration, as again, in addition to making some of the nutritional changes, and now the pain's almost gone. When she does get it, it's far and few between and a lot less.
Did she have fibromyalgia or peripheral neuropathy?
So she definitely had peripheral neuropathy, and so it's maybe
It showed the pains were all over her body, so
Yeah.
that's a sign of fibromyalgia.
yeah. She probably had that diagnosis as well. This is a little while ago, so I don't remember every
So
color.
she probably took the vibration not on a very high speed, on a lower speed.
Yeah, she actually had it at a relatively high. Yeah.
Really, and it helped all that pain.
Yeah, it worked wonderfully for her. I've had plenty of other people do it. I've consulted with people throughout the country, and a lot of times I'll have them order the standing vibration for them to do at home, and helps them not just with the pain, but also with their balance and lots of other things. Because you can do exercises while on the standing vibration platform, so it's like a triple threat.
Well, Costco was selling those, and I got on one for a try, and it was, really drive you crazy.
Yeah,
The whole thing was really going to
I've seen those,
high
yeah.
speed.
Yeah, I think that one was
Yeah,
probably
I
relatively
don't know, I think it was
expensive.
supposed to help the back.
Okay.
I can't remember, it might have been too high a speed for me.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen some of those powerful ones. They've got those units for a couple $1,000s or so, but I normally recommend people get the ones that are like $200.
I think they were $6,000 for the
Okay.
ones at Costco.
Yeah, yeah,
They
those
were
are
huge, big
those are the
machine,
real,
room
yeah,
to put it.
yeah. Most
It
people,
needs its own room.
exactly. Yeah, most people, the ones that are like $200 or so, $250, they work.
Selling that room.
Yeah, they work just as well, much easier to put together and take up less room. So, yep. Okay. All right. Okay. So moving on to the next key here. So we just talked about piecing together your own unique puzzle, what you need to do to get yourself better. Now we're going to talk about making it last, because there's a lot of people where they do the things that have them feeling better, and then a couple weeks or a couple months later, they revert back to doing what they were doing before because, hey, I'm out of pain now. I'll go back to the donuts and lie down and watching TV. What happens then?
Go back to the pain.
Pain comes right back. Absolutely. And that's why thinking long term, right now, from the start, is a good thing to do. Any Warren Buffett fans?
I like to know what he's up to.
What's he up to now, right?
Well, like him or not, he definitely has a good mindset when it comes to investing. He's a wise person with his money, and one of his saying is, if you're not willing to own a stock for 10 years, don't even think about it for 10 minutes. Right? It's a similar concept with your health. If you're not thinking long term, if you're not thinking, a year, 5, 10 years down the line, still doing these things that get you feeling better, then there's a good chance that in a couple months it might go back to where it was before. So that, and also, anyone ever heard of intrinsic motivation?
I've heard of it, I can't tell you what it is, I've heard the terms, but
So
I shouldn't raise my hand unless I know it, but I've heard the word.
Okay, so it's a concept that you do something because you enjoy it, because it's fun. Like if you can make salads or vegetables as delicious as possible, so it's not something that you have to do to get rid of your neuropathy, but it's something that you want to do, something that you enjoy doing. That type of motivation is much more sustainable, so that you get to the point where you're feeling better, you're like, hey, I actually really enjoy eating these salads because I feel good, because they taste good. So that type of intrinsic motivation, as much of you, as cultivating as much of that as you can, that's one of the best things to do to set yourself up for this long-term success. All right, the third key, see that button right there? Pound that button. Really, there's no better time to take action than right now. There's a prospective patient that had real bad neuropathy in his feet. Because of that, his balance was poor. Ultimately decided not to do a neuropathy program, and his wife calls up about a month later and says that because of her husband's poor balance, because of the neuropathy, he slipped in the bathtub, banged his head in the bathroom tub, caused internal bleeding, and he died, leaving his wife all alone. It's not the only person this happened to. 27,000 people every single year die from a slip and a fall. 7 million hospitalizations from it. Guess how many amputations there are in this country each year because of peripheral neuropathy?
A lot.
It's a lot. That's what that comes from, the peripheral neuropathy, cause the
Yeah.
amputation. What
Yeah,
stop the blood? The blood just stops going to the areas on there.
So the reason they have to amputate is because they get an infection. So the
Or a
foot, a lot of
sore
times
or
the foot gets so
something.
numb, maybe they step on something, they don't even know because it's so numb. They get infected, and then that infection is going to spread unless the only option that they have is
Oh,
to
it's like a numbing. You don't have any sensation.
for a lot of people. Some people, it's yeah, peripheral neuropathy, it's all across the board. It could be burning, it could be tingling, it could be pain, it could be numbness, where you don't feel anything at all. So there's lots of different symptoms. But 70,000
Wow.
amputations every single year from peripheral neuropathy. So your toes, your feet, these partners that help you get from point A to point B, if you wait too long, it could unfortunately end up in a bad situation. And again, now is the time. If you have something that's pinching on one of your nerves, if you have some sort of metabolic stress to the nerves, it's chipping away at it, it's causing more and more degeneration. And as that continues to set in, it's harder to undo. Your ceiling for improvement continues to go down the longer that you wait. So the sooner you take action, the better. And again, this is the way to do it. Piece together your own unique puzzle. What's causing your neuropathy? Attack it from all the different angles, adjusting the cause, as well as a customized approach to retraining your nerves. The right types, frequency, and intensity of the stimulation to the nerves to create that new connection with the brain. Doing it sustainably so that the rest of your life you continue to feel good, it doesn't relapse in a couple months, and doing it before it's too late. Doing it now while your ceiling for improvement is at its absolute highest moving forward. All right. So this is a testimonial from a patient. He's actually out in Ireland. He worked remotely. He did one of the online programs that I have. But yeah, he just did real wonderful. I wanted to share his testimonial here.
It's interesting.
The result, from my perspective, I now have mostly pain-free days. I'm reducing my pain medication. My depression has lifted. I now sleep uninterrupted all night through, and with that comes lots of benefits. So to summarize, Dr. Cain clearly and succinctly covers topics such as nutrition, exercise, therapies, lifestyle, stress, enjoyment, and how you can put all that together. Above all, it becomes quickly very obvious he is genuinely devoted to having people heal and to feel better. So there really is no excuse to continue to suffer with neuropathy. Thank you for listening,
So,
and happy healing.
Dr. Cain, so how long, I mean, is this like a lifelong? Have you released this patient to go on and pursue his own? Really? So, like, how much time did he spend with you? Like years, 3 years?
So, so the time we spent, we did one Skype call, and then he actually did an online program. So I just spoke to him after he did the online program. And I believe he did that program for it was probably 1 or 2 months or so. And then I just reached out to him.
This is the program that you're introducing us to today?
So the online program is actually different.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, the in-person program is even better than online because I actually get to see your feet. I get to work with them, do the hands-on as well. But yeah, for people on the other side of the planet that can't, it's not convenient to come over. It's more
Do they
geared for
need
them.
special equipment? Do they need special equipment of any type
Yeah, some people do. Most
for your
people-
program online?
Yeah, so it's kind of a guidance system, the online program. So I'll mention all the different equipment and things that are available, and then people kind of take it through their own filter based off their finances, based off how sensitive the neuropathy is, based off kind of what makes sense to them and what will work for them. But the great thing about actually coming into the office, you can try these things out before you go out and buy them. So we have the vibration plate, seated, standing. We have the infrared. We've got the brush there, but we've got ultra bright. So yeah, it's definitely better to come in than to do the online. But at least there's something there for people who can't make it in. But I want to show this just because he was one of many people who was told by his neurologist, there's nothing you can do. You've got neuropathy. Take these pain meds, and they'll help out. And
Pain meds don't help.
Just kind of get used to it. That was what he was told, and that's not the case for vast majority of people that have peripheral neuropathy. That you can get yourself better. You can get out of pain and lead a much more comfortable life.
I heard the nerves die. When you start feeling that tingling and numbing, your nerves are dying.
Yeah. So it brings up another good question: is can nerves be regenerated if they're already dead? Well, first off, if they're sending those tingling sensations, then they're not dead yet. Otherwise, they wouldn't be sending those signals.
That's what one doctor told me, and I said, well then, in other words, I'm dying from the feet up. And he didn't know what to say.
Yeah, I think
Because now I have it in my fingers, and I think I'm having a stroke.
Yeah, it's as I said earlier, those are the most vulnerable nerves, so they're the first ones to go. So whether you want to say it's that they're dying or that they're unhealthy or however you want to put it, I think the most important thing to realize is that they can get better. That you figure out what's causing them to not be so healthy, reverse that, and you just, like the gentleman just showed you, you can probably feel a lot better. And for some people everyone has some sort of ceiling for improvement, right? If someone they've had full-blown diabetes for decades and they're completely numb all the way up to here, maybe they're not going to have 100% coordination and proper sensation, but they'll be able to at least bring it back down, at least reverse it to some degree. Maybe not 100%, but find out how much you can get back, right? You're going to be better off regardless. Okay, so just a couple frequently asked questions that people come up with. So, does insurance cover the program? Yes, it covers it. It's quite inexpensive. The co-pays each session to see me is maybe $0 to $20 or so on average. We normally have people do physical therapy as well, because a lot of times balance needs to be retrained as well. And this is approximately a similar co-pay for seeing them as well. Charges. How long does it take to get results? Again, it's all on a case-by-case basis, but on average, somewhere between 1 to 2 months, that's where people are going to be having significant improvements. That first month, sometimes a little bit of trial and error. Sometimes it takes time to kind of really reconfigure your diet or whatever it is that needs to be done. So most people, 1 to 2 months, are going to feel significant improvements. And then after that, as they continue doing these things, the benefits will continue to grow. And then where we're located is in St. Clair Shores on Harper between 12 and 13 Mile. We should have the addresses on your paperwork there.
Harper, near where?
Between 12 and 13 miles.
I think I did hear it.
All right. All right, so we had some questions earlier. Yep.
You talk a lot about legs and feet and everything. What if you have the sensation in your arms and your shoulders? Is that neuropathy?
Yeah, it very well can be. Yeah. I mean, again, sometimes it can be coming from the spinal cord, perhaps in the neck. But
Bless you.
Like a burning, you know,
Yeah.
that other word.
yeah.
Yeah, fibromyalgia.
Yeah, like burning, tingling, those symptoms are most commonly associated with the nerves. So if it was like a soreness or an achiness, that tends to be more muscular related.
Like right now, it's right up, the arms.
Okay. Yeah, it probably is, but to know for sure, you have to do an examination to really
Is that
figure out.
something you'd have to come in and evaluate?
Yep. All right. Any other questions?
What mile road are you close to?
So, close to 12 miles. So between 12 and 13, but a little closer to 12. All right, I've got a feedback form here, and please feel free to continue.
What about
asking
the
questions.
diet? That will be covered in the office? It's not-
Absolutely.
That's not, or you can look up that anti-immune protocol.
Yeah, you can definitely look up the autoimmune
Well,
protocol,
I have,
but
I want to let everybody else finish, and I have questions.
Can you tell us a little bit about the autoimmune diet?
sure, okay. So I had a question here about the autoimmune protocol, the autoimmune diet, and so it's essentially a very healthy, similar to the Mediterranean, but they cut out nightshades, so things like eggplants, cuts out tomatoes, cuts out nuts, seeds, so pretty much any food that could potentially trigger any sort of allergic reaction. Some people can't have nuts because it will trigger their immune system to cause some sort of problem in their body.
You mean like peanuts? Is that why we had walnuts and stuff today? That's okay, or no?
Yeah. So these are definitely a healthier version of nuts. So what I had out there is not the autoimmune protocol, but for some people that might be the right route to go.
Because nightshade, we've always heard it's really bad for arthritis, the nightshade plants.
Okay.
Is that correct? Is that,
For again, people that have these autoimmune conditions, absolutely, it can trigger lots of pain in the joints, can contribute to arthritis. So it's the autoimmune protocol and the plant-based diet. Those are the two most common diets that I recommend. Plant-based is actually the only one that's been shown in research to help with neuropathy, but that's because they've had more research done on it. Yeah, autoimmune protocol. I had one gentleman, he had an infection, some sort of bug bite, and after that he got a real bad neuropathy, had him go on the autoimmune protocol, but he tried everything else, so many different things. The autoimmune protocol, that diet, that shifted it, and he finally was able to heal himself because he had an autoimmune condition after that infection.
so it's plant-based?
No, so plant-based is separate. They do have a lot of
I mean, I
plants.
eat plant-based anyway, that's why I want to know if that's, So, but autoimmune is not necessarily plant-based, it's getting rid of the nightshade plants and those that will cause infection.
Yeah.
Okay.
Autoimmune protocol does allow for some meats. Plant-based is little to no
Right,
meats.
no, I don't eat meat, so, just fish. I do eat the fish.
Okay.
That's, okay. All right, thank you.
All right, yep. All right, well, you're
Wow.
free to take off whenever you like. Just make sure you get your feedback forms, and again, I'll be around for a couple minutes if you want to come up and ask me any questions in person. Thank you all for coming.
Oh, thank you.